Despite considerable national government efforts to reduce rough sleeping over the last 15 years, an estimated 4,667 people slept rough on a given night in autumn 2024. This is a 20% increase on the 2023 estimate and a 164% increase on the 2010 estimate. The 2024 figure is slightly below the 2017 peak of 4,750. Rough sleeping is most prevalent in London and southern England, with 28% of the 2024 total recorded in London. Like homelessness more broadly, the causes of rough sleeping include many interrelated structural, individual, and interpersonal factors. Poverty, unemployment, housing shortages, and systemic barriers in welfare support are understood to be significant systemic drivers of rough sleeping. These underlying causes can often be exacerbated by personal vulnerabilities like poor health or substance use. According to the Combined Homelessness and Information Network database, which contains information about rough sleepers in Greater London, relationship breakdown is the leading cause of rough sleeping in London. 16% of new rough sleepers for whom data was recorded in 2023/24 said that relationship breakdown was the reason they lost their last settled base. The ending of asylum accommodation also accounts for a growing share of rough sleepers. The annual chain reports for 2022-23 and 2023-24 shows a more than tenfold increase over this time frame in the number of new rough sleepers who had left home office accommodation prior to sleeping rough. Official statistics are recognized as underestimating the true extent of rough sleeping, as they do not account for all forms of homelessness or hidden populations. The majority of rough sleepers in 2023 were male, 83%, and UK nationals, 63%, with significant representation of EU nationals, 16%. London consistently has the highest rates of rough sleeping, with demographic shifts showing increasing numbers from countries outside Europe and the UK. The latest financial year report from the Chain database, Chain Greater London Annual Report 2023/24, reported that a total of 11,993 people were seen rough sleeping in London in 2023/24, the highest since records began. This represented a 19% increase on the previous year. 8,413 people were seen sleeping rough for the first time in 2023/24. The Chain annual report notes that decreases reported in 2021-22 were largely due to additional resources provided under the government's Everyone In initiative during the COVID-19 pandemic. The subsequent increases in 2022-23 and 2023-24 likely reflect the end of these exceptional pandemic-related arrangements. Efforts to improve data collection, including the introduction of the Rough Sleeping Data Framework in 2023, aim to provide a more comprehensive understanding of trends and outcomes, though challenges in methodology and resource allocation persist. Councils across London spent £1.4 billion on temporary housing for the homeless last year, new figures show. It comes as a record number of households and children across England are placed in temporary housing, with councils having nowhere else to house people. Housing Charity Shelter said families are crammed in hostels and bed and breakfasts, as it called on the government to invest in long-term solutions, including 90,000 social homes a year. Figures from the Ministry of Housing, Communities, and Local Government show 33 councils across London spent £1.4 billion on temporary accommodation in the year to March 2024. Councils across England spent £2.3 billion on providing temporary accommodation for homeless households in 2023-24, up 29% on the year before. The severe lack of genuinely affordable social homes and extortionate private rents have condemned 164,000 children to homelessness, while councils are running out of options of where to house them. She added, families are crammed into hostel rooms and moldy B&Bs, sent miles away from their local areas, and constantly worried about if they will be homeless for weeks, months, or even years. Related video. London councils to receive emergency funding, Daily Motion. She said the government must use the June spending review to invest in 90,000 social homes a year. Last year, councils received nearly £400 million in grant funding to spend on domestic homelessness and temporary accommodation pressures. Adam Hugg, housing spokesperson for the local government association, said, "An uprating of the temporary accommodation subsidy is desperately needed to address the significant and growing cost pressures faced by councils. As the spending review approaches, now is the opportunity for the government to ensure councils are sufficiently resourced to provide essential services and help boost growth to communities." Separate figures show 164,040 children in England were homeless in temporary accommodation as of the end of September, up 15% in a year and the highest since records began. A total of 126,040 households were in temporary accommodation, another record high figure. Overall, 32 households in Basingstoke and Dean were living in temporary accommodation. This included 34 children. An MHCLG spokesperson said the government inherited a housing crisis. They added, "We are tackling the root causes of homelessness by building 1.5 million new homes, boosting social and affordable housing, and abolishing Section 21 no-fault evictions. Alongside this, we are providing £1 billion in additional support for homelessness services,